Hi, this is Alex from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book on record episode to do. Today's book is G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, The Capital City from 1984. So let's get started.
Hello everyone, this is Stalker, one of the G.I. Joe Task Force, and this is your G.I. Joe read-along book. Every time you hear this chime, it means it's time to turn the page in your storybook. Now we are ready to begin. Open your book and we will start our adventure. And remember, when you hear the chime, turn the page. Thursday, May 9th. 1500 hours, and the Joes were returning from the routine surveillance of the nuclear reactor energy stockpiles in the western desert when we received radio contact from the underground level of the Pentagon. It was Duke with an urgent message from headquarters. It was our next mission, and it was a tough one. Once we had finally arrived at headquarters, Hawk showed us film coverage of the world's most evil villain, the Cobra Commander, and his mighty armies as they completely surrounded the island of Manhattan. They cut off New York City entirely from the rest of the world. No one could get in or out, and food supplies were running dangerously short. Soon, the largest city in America would literally starve to death. Cobra Commander had placed his commandos at the entrances and exits to all the bridges and tunnels, all the airports, railroads, and shipyards. Helicopters armed heavily patrolled the airspace above the city. Traffic below had snarled to a standstill, and there was no gasoline left to buy. Many people just left their cars where they were. Arguments began even among friends. And to make matters even worse, the deadliest heat wave in 10 years was stifling the city. We watched the film in shock as the tremendous railroad depot Penn Station was taken over as the Cobra Commander's new headquarters. And Doc and Gung Ho both looked at me kind of nervously when Hawk told us that Cobra Commander was demanding control of the entire state of New Jersey for himself and his evil army, as well as a complete pardon. Oh yes, and the tidy sum of $400 million. But the strangest request of all was that he demanded to speak face to face with the President of the United States. There was no time to hesitate. But as soon as all of us Joes met up in front of Cobra Commander's headquarters, we were met by at least 100 Cobra troops, with fire rifles and huge German shepherds. Rock and Roll, another one of the G.I. Joes, said he'd always been just a little afraid of dogs, and Wild Bill just drew a six-shooter and laughed. Of course, if we had been inside our battle tank, we could have easily blown through the walls and taken the Cobra Commander by surprise. But it was Snow Job, disguised as one of the bad guys, that got Steeler, Doc, and Snake Eyes inside to find out why the Cobra Commander was holding our largest city for ransom. inside the gigantic railway station, it was almost empty and almost quiet. Cobra Commander had set up a huge map of the eastern coast of the United States, with tiny blinking lights showing the other cities he and his men were surrounding. And of course, one of them was Washington, D.C. His evil female companion, the Baroness, just stood by the Cobra Commander's side at the map, laughing in her cruel way. Doc recorded their conversation on his wrist recorder while he hid in the shadows, and Steeler photographed the huge map with the camera he kept in his utility belt. Oh no, Doc's been spotted, grabbed by a commando from behind. But then, wait, is that Snake Eyes coming to the rescue? Yes, a quick slap to the neck and the commando's down. Steeler managed to grab Doc and hightail it out of there just as the Cobra Commander thought he heard something. For a moment, Snake Eyes thought they were dead. Back at headquarters, the awful truth became clear. When the pictures of the map were developed, we could see, except for New York City, all the lights were green and blinking. Captive cities. New York, the only remaining uncaptured city, had a steady red light on the map. The Cobra Commander, in a show of strength, now chose a few unnecessary buildings to blow up. The bridges were mined, ready to fall. The president would have to yield before 8 million people starved to death. In moments, our plan went into effect. To overtake the Cobra Commander and the Baroness, we'd have to show some power. Manpower. Clutch volunteered to drive the train into the station himself. If the submarines came into the East River on one side and the Hudson River on the other side, helicopters and jets could cause some diversionary action so that us Joes could work our way through the streets of New York and get into the Cobra Commander's hideout and overtake him. The hand-to-hand combat, the one-on-one fighting was on. Everywhere you looked, Joes taking on commandos with knives, guns, and fists flying. Snake Eyes, look out! 2 guys to your left. Good work. They went down. Closer and closer. The station's in view now, and as we slipped inside the enemy encampment, I wondered if the plan was working. Could Clutch get there in time? Was it actually possible we could pull it off? The city must be saved. Torpedoes started the huge motors that powered the wire-cutting blades, allowing our subs into the harbors. The choppers overhead could see the coastal bases surrender, and Clutch actually drove the subway into Penn Station himself to capture Cobra Commander and the Baroness single-handed, while Hawk supervised the removal of the evil pair, at least temporarily. It had worked. We were saved. Soon, all the cars and the trucks, the planes and boats, and the trains were all back on schedule again. The city settled down to its normal hectic pace, which is frantic enough for me anyway. And us, the G.I. Joes, well, we're awaiting the next call from headquarters for our next super assignment. We'll see you then, everybody. Be careful and be back. Over and out from the G.I. Joe Task Force.
So that was G.I. Joe, a real American hero, the Capture City, from 1984. And this one was a lot better than the other G.I. Joe book we did in the other video. And I loved G.I. Joe when I was a kid in the 80s, so this was just like the TV show. So please like, subscribe, share, and comment, and have a groovy day. And our next book will be Master of the Universe, The Thief of Casco Greystone.